The new Toyota Prius is a well-rounded hatchback with personality. It also happens to be hyper efficient. Today I'm going to show you what makes it special, where it falls back, and what's new for 2024. Following the glow up for 2023, there are minimal changes for the new year.
Your Apple and Amazon Music subscriptions can now be directly linked into the infotainment, and they've updated the new lock and unlock chime again and now allow you to adjust its volume. Thankfully, the price only inflates $200 this year.
And while far from a value king, you do get quite a bit of car for what you pay for, so long as you don't get ripped off at a dealership like a soggy Band-Aid. The first thing that really caught me off guard when driving the new Prius was how well it handled. So you have a suspension that actually doesn't come with a lot of body roll like it used to, and remains very controlled through corners on broken pavement, and the steering matches this poise. There's a little bit of feedback that comes through the wheel. The ratio is quick enough, there's not a whole lot of play on center, so it reacts in a timely manner, and I also think it's weighted well.
The steering doesn't build up in weight the same way that a Mazda does,
but still, completely different league than anything I've ever seen from a Prius, and honestly better than any regular Corolla or Camry. I would call it fun to drive if it didn't have this powertrain, though the powertrain is honestly the reason why the Prius existed to begin with. Just like you buy a dog for companionship and a cat so that you can't sleep, you get a Prius because you want efficiency. And despite its big advancements in power, the new one still provides that. It is the next reason why I would pick one up. So first and foremost, it can still easily get 50 miles to the gallon, and well more than that when the engine is fully warmed up and it's charged the battery. And your mileage should actually improve if you get the base model, which has different wheels. So this uses Toyota's 5th gen of hybrid systems. It pairs a 2-liter naturally aspirated direct and port fuel injected inline 4 with a permanent magnet drive motor and another one around back if you get all-wheel drive. This makes 194 horsepower with front-wheel drive. That means you'll get to 60 in the low 7-second range. And if you get the plug-in Prime model, you actually get a very respectable 40 miles of EV driving range, and it's a little bit quicker too. Now, if you want all-wheel drive, the standard model is the only one that offers it, and it packs a lot more power around back than the previous generation, helping it make more of a difference in inclement weather and acceleration. This also comes with Toyota's eCVT, which utilizes another electric motor to change the gear ratio on the fly. It can do this fast, and then it also helps regenerate power back into the battery pack. It's smooth, it's pretty refined,
and passing power is good for a compact even at highway speeds.
The only downside is that the engine is rather noisy whenever it kicks on, especially under medium to high throttle. It will just groan. And despite its advancements in handling, it's also still a comfortable car. Now, you do feel the smaller to medium-sized imperfections,
yet I'd confidently label it as a forgiving car, just not quite as well isolated as the Camry Hybrid.
Taking it onto the highway, it's reasonably quiet for this price point. Some wind noise, but the seats are great road trip partners. You have good thigh support, even if you're a bit taller like myself. I'm 6'3" for reference. And the seat back, the bolstering, it's well shaped and seems like it would accommodate most people with no fuss. Lumbar adjustment will come with the XLE.
Plus, there's a little soft touch padding for your outboard knees.
You know what, let's just make the interior its own reason to pick up the Prius, because overall, it's a nice place to be. It feels fresh, there's layers to it. It helps this thing have depth. I like how the lines of the dashboard flow into the door panels the same way that the steering wheel flows into the dash. The interior is also straightforward. It comes with easy to use analog controls, a very simple, though not super well placed, digital gauge cluster, and either an 8 or 12.3-inch infotainment system that comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. The user interface is stripped down, and the resolution and response time are good. The features are also pretty strong. Skip the base and you have some fancy ambient lighting, Softex leatherette seats that are heated up front with a heated steering wheel too, and you can even get things like ventilated front seats, a fixed glass roof, a 360 view camera, power rear gate, rear heated seats, and the list goes on. All for a mid $30,000 price tag. While plastics are the primary choice of material in this thing, at least the quality in here is a notable step up from something like a Corolla. And if you look closer, yes, you will find some cringeworthy hashtags. Now, more downsides include rear headroom that will leave taller passengers with a bad hair day,
though I find legroom and thigh support to be sufficient for tall passengers,
and a very short cargo area. Plus, there's not even a spare tire beneath that floor, just a fix-a-flat kit. The style is probably to blame for that, but I will say, it does look pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, I did appreciate the old car's funkiness, but this just feels like it had a lot more effort and thought put behind each design point. And I also think it utilizes its wedge profile a little bit better. There's sharp lines despite the smooth aerodynamics. This style, I mean, it's all subjective, so let me know your thoughts in the comments section, but this thing just does a much better job at leaving a lasting impression. And it'll be doing that for a long time. It's actually one of the biggest selling points to the Prius, its proven reputation for reliability. This generation is completely new, so I can't speak too much here, but I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because this engine has been utilized in the Corolla for a little bit now, and it really hasn't had any notorious issues. The last gen Prius itself, I mean, the biggest things it suffered were infotainment bugs, easily cracking windshields,
some reports of clicking from a front axle that was addressed via service bulletin,
and acceleration problems, none of which were too commonly reported, and dropped off as the years carried on. This engine also does have direct and port injection, which keeps the intake valves clean, and Toyota's eCVTs are robust. You're going to have to think about the battery at some point, which it's still not a cheap repair, though the price has gone down. Expect to maybe pay like 3 or 4 grand after maybe like 12 or 15 years. Mileage is less of a factor than time when it comes to these kinds of things, but that likely won't be an issue for the first owner. And I think even at that time period, it would be justifiable to make the repair. So it's not like this is just disposable transportation.
And after looking at the last 10 years of the Consumer Reports Reliability Survey, I'm confident recommending this to someone who highly prioritizes longevity, especially entering the second model year of this generation.
The car is not perfect, and I would again like to highlight some drawbacks, like that short cargo area, the decreased visibility, which doesn't make this super approachable, though I don't think most will find it intimidating. The gauge cluster, again, can sometimes be blocked by the steering wheel. There's no rear console vents available on any Prius, no spare tire, just to fix a flat. And the biggest knock against this thing is really how hard it is to find one for a reasonable price. I mean, if you have to spend months to try to find one or to try to order one, that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people that may just end up going with another Toyota hybrid. But coming from a product standpoint, Toyota knocked it out of the park with the new Prius.
It's once again the true flagship of their hybrid models. It brings forth the latest that Toyota has to offer, and it seems like they're finally putting in legitimate effort to make it desirable, not just sensible. That comes with some drawbacks, but the sales of the Prius have been slumping the last several years. It needed a revival, and it got one. If they can stock dealers, this deserves to be a hit.
And it really makes me excited to see what they do with the new Corolla and Camry. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like to help me take on the maniacal YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fun, detailed car content without fluff. And check out my Patreon for an additional podcast. I'll catch you in the next one.